Welcome back, Film Fam.
Holy shit! He's making a video again!
Yeah, I'm trying to review your movie.
But you haven't done a review in almost 2 months!
It's a long story. I'll explain it on this week's This Week in Geek tomorrow.
You're not gonna talk shit about my movie, are you?
Did you see what I ended up saying about your previous films? Why don't you go watch those reviews while I take care of this one? Alright, buddy. I'll catch you later. My name is Ren, and this is my return to review Venom: The Last Dance. Welcome back, film family. That's right, I still have a shit ton of festival reviews in the backlog, but as to maintain my reputation as one of the internet's resident Marvel shills, of course my grand return is marked by the latest cape flick, where Eddie and Venom are on the run, facing pursuit from both their worlds. The duo is compelled to make a devastating decision that could mark the end of their symbiotic partnership. And in case you're unfamiliar with my feelings on the Venom franchise thus far, the simplest way to summarize it is I've spoken about them twice, when I review the first movie and when I review the second movie. This is a franchise that hasn't really worked for me from the start, and Venom: The Last Dance is not concerned about me, nor should it be. This is a trilogy caper that is here to deliver for the fans of this franchise what they have enjoyed thus far. And as someone who is not a fan of the franchise, I can tell you the two highlights of this entire trilogy that have worked for me in the previous movies work just as much in Venom: The Last Dance. Number one, Tom Hardy's commitment to this character. From movie one into Let There Be Carnage and now The Last Dance, this man's commitment is unshakable. He is putting in some work here that the script does not deserve, but Tom Hardy feels every ounce of this story, every ounce of emotion that has to do with this relationship, which is the one element in these films that has progressed and developed throughout these films. At the start of Venom: The Last Dance, Eddie and Venom are in a healthy, supportive relationship where they know each other so well and can always depend on each other. It is very strange to talk about the healthy dynamics of a relationship and be talking about Venom: Let There Be Carnage. One thing is for sure, despite all the elements, if you enjoy the previous Venom movies, there's a lot here for you to enjoy. For me, it might just be the messiest of the three, but it's also the most fun of the three. But while I've never been a fan of this take on the Venom character, I have always rooted for this franchise. It is so unconventional, so quirky, it is such a singular take on the symbiotic dynamic between Eddie Brock, between Venom. For as much as I don't care for how little it explores Eddie, how little it offers to the Venom character himself, in fact just diminishes him from how interesting he is, the dynamic between these two as a romantic love story that brings the two of them together, there's something interesting about it. What happens in that is interesting, but it never gets to be compelling just because it's always made to be a joke and tear itself down and completely combat with the logic of this film, where we could have had a sense of urgency because Area 51 is shutting down. These creatures are being sent by Knull to capture Venom, but there is no upping of stakes. There is no adrenaline. There is no tension just because these characters are so goofy. And they could have been goofy all throughout this trilogy, but as we saw in the first one, as we saw with Carnage, as we see now with Knull coming in, or at least being sat down for this entire film without actually doing anything, the script is all over the place. There's no growth for Eddie Brock. He doesn't go through any personal development whatsoever, but there are a lot of interesting dynamics in this film, whether you're talking about Chiwetel Ejiofor, who has a little bit more nuance than you'd expect for a villain in a Venom movie. And then everyone else is kind of just there. Juno Temple is given the absolute worst dialogue to work with. There's this hippie family led by Rhys Ifans, who's always an amazing screen presence. And while he's a joy to watch, but the biggest problem with Venom the Last Dance is how, for a trilogy concluding chapter, it also tries to rewrite this entire franchise. Everything that happened in previous two movies gets tweaked and retconned, and it doesn't make any sense. For the first half of this film, you're constantly trying to catch up with the logic, and everything in this film just happens because of it. For example, Knull, the god of the symbiotes, is now for some reason a thing in this continuity, and they spend half of the movie trying to rewrite the logic and continuity of the first two to tie it back to him. And if you're ready to spend an entire movie listening to this angry, white-haired man saying, "I am coming and I am going to kill you," well, I hope you enjoy that. There's two post-credit scenes. One of them connects to Knull. The second one isn't really worth staying around for. It doesn't really offer you anything, even if you are expecting them to tease a fourth Venom movie. That's not what they do, one way or the other. I'm not getting into spoilers. Everything else is Venom being his stupid self. Creatures are coming to Earth trying to capture him, and if he takes his full Venom form, they will know where he is because he has a tracking signal. Does he choose not to transform because of that? Of course not. We need to have a dance sequence with Mrs. Chan in Las Vegas while she is dressed up as the fairy godmother from Shrek 2. Or we have to drive with this hippie family for like 15 minutes where nothing happens and the plot doesn't progress. To be fair, the plot doesn't progress because the plot is wafer thin, but everything around the big set pieces, the VFX heavy action sequences, nothing about this movie really clicks unless you are just with Eddie and Venom talking to each other and being buds, being friends, being boyfriend and boyfriend, whatever you want to call it. These two are literally the only reason why these movies work. And that's what's so frustrating about the Venom movies. They have an incredible actor playing this character, an actor who clearly understands who this character is, fun set pieces, references in the comic books for them to adapt, and yet so much of this film is padded just to fill out runtime. Can it be fun? Yes. Are the action sequences good looking? Absolutely. Much better looking than in the previous two movies. We actually have daytime scenes in Venom the Last Dance. I know. Hold your horses. This is fucking real, guys. But like I said, Venom Let There Be Carnage is not concerned with trying to win any new fans over with this final chapter in the trilogy. And that's fine, as long as fans of this trilogy enjoy the last hurrah, the swan song for this iteration of Eddie and Brock. The film did its job. It brings all the right emotional notes together to pay tribute to the history of these two, the right melancholic notes to serve as a proper swan song. Lots of funs with the world of Venom and what that entails into the film to be had. And if I'm not meant to be one of those fans, that is totally fine. But those are just my thoughts on Venom the Last Dance. It's time for you to start a conversation about it in the comments below. What are your thoughts on Venom the Last Dance? Are you excited for it? How do you rank the Sony Spider-Man-less Spider-Man movies? And are you excited for Kraven the Hunter? If you're enjoying this review, want to see more like it, don't worry, I won't go on any other unnecessary hiatuses. You can find them right up here on this playlist. The podcast is coming tomorrow. And if you want to join me just to talk more movies and TV, this is the place to be. Consider clicking that subscribe button and you won't miss any future conversations on your favorite movies and TV. Venom the Last Dance is a bold mix between franchise rewrite and swan song, resulting in an all too familiar goofy mess. Eddie and Venom's bromance remains the franchise's highlight, and Tom Hardy's commitment has never been more admirable. Everything else, however, proves that this franchise is nothing but a midlife crisis. I'm giving Venom the Last Dance a C+. Thank you for watching, Film Family. Remember to start a conversation about Venom the Last Dance in the comments below, along with which Marvel villain would you love to see a solo movie of. anything and everything down there. I'll be back very soon with more videos.
I saw your videos,
Shit, he's back.
motherfucker!
Love each other. Love the movies. Bye-bye!